You'll be surprised to see how far people will go to prove their loyalty to their gangs. To join a gang, the members need to know that you're somebody they can trust and that you're worthy of the cause at hand. These initiation rites can vary from disgusting to disturbing to deeply distressing. Here are the top 5 craziest gang initiation rituals. Please note, this video is not for the faint-hearted. Kicking off the list from number 5, Buck 50, the Bloods. One of the largest and most well-known gangs in the world is the United Blood Nation, or the Bloods, as everyone calls them. This gang is one of the few predominantly black gangs in the world, and there's a reason for that. It all started in a Los Angeles prison, where Latin gang members kept attacking and killing African-American inmates, so to retaliate, they formed a deadly group. And from there, they expanded their operations to include drug trafficking, armed robbery, and murder. They also got very vicious when a similar gang, the Crips, dominated the narcotics trade in Los Angeles. But how vicious do they get? We'll let their initiation ritual do the talking. For a prospect to be a member of the Blood, they must carry out what is known as a Buck 50. This involves using a buck cutter knife to slice a random victim's face to the point where it requires 150 stitches. Just imagine walking home and ending up in this sadistic situation. Another thing about this gang is that their prospects are usually African-American high school teenage boys who end up joining the gang without having any idea of what they're really getting into, and even if they do, the consequences are sometimes more than the reward. Clinical Beatdown, MS-13. Mara Salvatrucha, also known as MS-13, is an international criminal gang that originated in Los Angeles by Salvadoran immigrants in the US. It all started with a bunch of Salvadoran immigrants coming together to protect themselves from the harsh living in LA. Then, after a few years, other rival gangs came to LA and they clashed, leading MS-13 to become a violent crime syndicate. Over the years, they've gotten involved with everything from drug trafficking to armed robbery, and then to institutions, and when it comes to being a member, things just get uglier. The initiation ritual for MS-13 is different for both men and women. A man is subjected to a ritual called Get Jumped In, then Walk the Line. What this basically means is that the prospect will get beat up by 5 of the strongest MS-13 members in that district. It's as brutal as a typical no-holds-barred WWE match. But unlike WWE, this is not acting. Some say this beatdown lasts only 13 seconds, which I can't confirm nor deny. But if the prospect manages to stay alive after the beatdown, then they need to complete the second part of the initiation, which is to beat or even murder an innocent victim. If they do this and succeed, then they're officially a member. For the ladies, 5 of the heftiest gang members under her district would have to, let's just say, take turns, and they're allowed to use force. So if she survives this, she becomes a member. Blood and Oath, the Chinese Triad. When it comes to the Chinese Triad, prospects are either initiated successfully or killed on the spot. The Chinese Triad is one of the oldest criminal organizations in Asia. Its history dates back to the 18th century. The organization was initially created to take down the Qing dynasty, but as the years went by, it expanded into drug trafficking, gambling scandals, executions, and illegal sale of adult films. As expected, they branched out of China and into Taiwan, Hong Kong, and other countries. They base their belief on the Chinese mythology that sees the union of heaven, earth, and water, but their rituals involve something thicker than water, and that's blood. When a prospect chooses to become a member of the Chinese Triad, an animal is sacrificed. It could be a pig, a goat, or a chicken, and the blood of this animal is poured into a chalice. Then the blood of other Triad members and the blood of the prospect is taken and poured into this chalice. If the prospect then refuses to drink this, they're killed on the spot. But if they do, they're automatically a member of the Brotherhood, a brotherhood that's been standing for decades. And as they drink that bloody mixture, they're mandated to chant this. If a member of this society finds himself in difficulty, all will rush to his aid. If I, as a future member of this association, break this oath, the swords will descend and kill me. As the initiation says, they pass beneath an arc of swords the moment they're done. They pass beneath an arc of swords, and the moment they're done, the paper on which the oaths are written will be burnt on the altar. This is to confirm the member's obligation to perform his duties to the gods. New members are sometimes used to carry out the dirty work of the organization, but as they progress, they make their way into the corporate world of the crime syndicate, joining other members in their perfectly organized money laundering scheme with billion-dollar Asian companies. So, would you say joining the Chinese triad is worth the reward? And of course, we can't mention the Chinese triads without mentioning one of the most formidable and influential gangs in the world, the Yakuza. Number 2 on our list is the Yakuza finger ritual. The Yakuza, an organized crime syndicate in Japan, has long been associated with age-old ritual known as yabutsumi, or the finger shortening. This ritual traces its roots back to the feudal period, a time when the Yakuza was still at its nascent stage. It's a form of penance or apology often imposed on members who have violated the strict codes of the Yakuza or failed to fulfill a duty. The transgressor is expected to cut off the little fingertip starting from the left hand using a sharp knife and present it to their superior as a sign of remorse. The tradition has its origin in samurai practice, where the shortening of a finger was meant to weaken the offender's sword grip, making them more reliant on their master for protection. In the context of the Yakuza, it serves as a potent reminder of their obligations to the gang, the cost of failure, and the ever-looming reality of the dependency on the organization. To perform yabutsumi, the offending member must first lay out a clean cloth, preferably white, which symbolizes purity and a fresh start. They then proceed to sterilize their small knife, called the tento, before placing their little finger on the cloth. A swift and decisive cut is expected to sever the finger at the joint, and the severed finger is then wrapped carefully in the cloth and handed over to the superior. This act of self-mutilation is seen as a sincere apology, an act of atonement, demonstrating their willingness to endure pain for the sake of the organization. Refusing to perform yabutsumi, or not performing it correctly, can result in severe consequences, potentially expulsion from the gang, or in some extreme cases, death. In many cases, multiple transgressions require additional amputations, moving up the fingers towards the hand with each offense. Over the years, the Yakuza's influence has waned somewhat due to rigorous government crackdowns, and many gang members have left the life of crime. However, those who had once participated in yabutsumi are left with a permanent physical reminder of their past, making it difficult for them to reintegrate into society. Despite the gruesome nature of that ritual, it remains a significant aspect of the Yakuza's rich, albeit chilling, heritage. Blood for blood. But doing something disgusting is different from doing something depraved. The Aryan Brotherhood go that extra step further when testing who's fit to join their gang. This brotherhood is one of the oldest white supremacist groups in the USA. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, the gang is, quote, the largest and deadliest prison gang in the United States, with estimated 20,000 members inside prisons and on the streets. To join this gang, it kind of goes without saying that you need to be white, but you will also need to do something which is known as make the bones. When NPR's John Burnett spoke with James Chance Jones, he asked him about one of his tattoos and he found out what this phrase means. It's blood in and blood out. He says you have to commit a murder or violent assault to get into the gang, and once you get that patch, you have to really commit quite an offense to get it burned off in such a brutal way. This provides the gang with two vital pieces of information. Firstly, that the candidate is willing to commit violent crimes in their name, and secondly, this member now has a crime hanging over their head, which can be used against them in the case they snitch or come to the police. It also rules out the possibility of undercover cops or FBI agents joining them, as they would unlikely go to the lengths of killing someone so they could spy on them. And through their twisted and deeply racist logic, their enemies are not necessarily rival gangs or people who have double-crossed them in the past. In their eyes, a race war is ongoing. In an interview with ex-member John Greshner, he said, "For the Aryan Brotherhood, murder is a way to make a social statement. If blacks attack whites, we send a message. We go pick one of their shot callers. We catch them walking across the prison yard under guard, escort, and handcuffs. It doesn't matter. We're going to butcher him in front of God and everybody at high noon in the middle of the yard." Murdering to join the gang is not limited to the Aryan Brotherhood. Ironically, the African-American nationalist gang, Sons of Malcolm X, also require members to kill someone to join. Looks like they have more things in common than they realize. Which one of these terrified you the most? Thanks for watching. To watch more of our videos, click on any of the 2 videos being shown on the screen now, and don't forget to subscribe for more interesting content.